think that's us. If anybody else joins, we can kind of recap, can't we? So just to introduce to some of our schools, I can see that Mandy's joined us, Andrea, we've got Gina as well. And the admin, I think that's Oakfield. Is that Sheila there, I think, as well? So just welcome. And I just want to introduce our colleagues across at Pebble. So Pebble has the Tali product, which we're going to be showing you today. So Gemma is on the call, so I work quite closely with Gemma just throughout this whole transition period. And also as well, I'm working with Becky, and Becky is the one who is going to be showing you the Tali system today. There is less than was accepted, so we can do a bit of Q&A at the end if we've got the time, but you will have received an email from me asking you to join a sort of group forum discussion either tomorrow or the day after. So if you just want to perhaps have a think about any questions you want to ask, you can raise them in the group. I know we've had a couple of people joining there, and I just want to double check. We are recording the session, and that's only because for some of the schools that haven't been able to join us today, we want to be able to share that link with them. Is everyone happy with that? And I'll take silence as a yes, everything's okay. Okay, I think that's okay. If anybody has any concerns, just pop them in the chat box. But we're 3 minutes in already, so I'm happy just to hand over to Becky. Oh, hi Sharon, I've just seen you up the top there as well. Hand over to Becky, and Becky will be able to do the demonstration.
Okay, hello everybody. First of all, could I ask if anybody's not on mute to go on mute, because I've got a little bit of an echo going on. It will feel awfully strange for me because it goes very quiet. So periodically I will ask Connie to just say that you can still hear me. I'm hoping that everybody can see my screen. If you can't, if you just take yourself off mute and let me know, but you should be able to see my Tali screen and BW WisePay version of Tali on the screen. Okay, so I'm product specialist here at Pebble Tali, and I'll be guiding you through setup processes for Tali if you go ahead. And I'm just going to walk you through the tabs that we've got in front of us at the moment at the top of the page. But I'm going to start by just explaining a little bit about the dashboard. So basically Tali's software package that pulls in transactions from WisePay, and you're also able to record any cash and checks in and out, so money coming in, money leaving school, and also do your reconciliation and a really slick year end when you get to that point. The bits on the dashboard I'd like to point out is we've got some really good help documents. The first is on the support site. So if I just click the support site and type something in like statement at the top there, whoop, if I can spell, it'll just come up with everything that's got statement in. So if I just scroll down a little bit, reconcile bank statements, and it takes us in and shows us how to do that. Okay, so you just search from the top of the page, whatever you need, support, and pop that in. Okay, we've also got a little intercom chat box at the bottom, so click on that and you can send us a message, you know, if you've got a quick question, or you can see those very same support articles there by putting a keyword in there, and it'll pop up with various different actions that you can click into at the bottom. Just get rid of that. Okay, so they're the two ways that we support you on screen. You can also book further assistance through the Advisor Help button at the top. And you can also use the tabs at the top to move around Tali, and you can use the quick links on the front page. So clicking income takes you into transactions, enter income, as does expenditure, the red button, into transactions, record expenditure, so money leaving school. I'm going to start with the administration tab, and you'd have everything down to sort of manage users. But I'm going to start with period end. We're going to do a sort of a full circle back to period end and do a little mini period end, because I want to show you how easy it is to get to that point. Because when we do a period end, whenever that might be in school, we put an end date in, we preview it, or if we're happy, we confirm it. And then once it's confirmed, everything under the archive for that date period, so you'll have a date down here, will populate a report. And I'll show you that when we get to that point. But basically, your year end is just to click in each of these reports and print them out, and that's your year end done. So that's what I'm hoping that we'll do a full circle back to this afternoon. So administration view opening balance is a starting point. So when you start with Tali, we need your opening balances. We need your opening balances. So the difference when we set you going is 0 at the top, the difference between your bank accounts, cash in hand, on the left-hand side equals the account pots that you have on the right-hand side. We deal with any unpresented items, so maybe items that you've written a check out for but haven't been presented at the bank yet. We can deal with those, that's absolutely no problem. But that's just a simple data collection form that we ask you to fill in, giving us the balance at the banks. You draw a line under a particular date, whatever date you want to start from, and you draw a line under that, and then we have the balances from that day, and that breaks down across your account balances on the right hand side. And this, the right hand side, is what we populate your Tali with. Okay, so that's your sort of get going. Anything that's blue in Tali you can click into and look into further. That just takes you into the actual account setup. So administration view opening balances. Manage bank accounts is where we set you up with a settlement bank account. So that's for your WisePay payments, and the current account, or as many bank accounts as you have in school. Okay. Administration manage accounts. So this is where we set up your cost centers, account codes, whatever you prefer to call them. They're your account pots, the money where you keep, you sort of cost center out all the bits and bobs that you've got going on in school across the different areas. If I just expand that a little bit, you can see just scrolls down, and we've just made them very simple in here. We've started, you've got a sort of 1 to 7 digit code, account name, and we've just made it as simple as possible, going with the starting of the wording, and if it's a particular year, so Bushcraft 2021, we've put 21 at the end. So very easily you can see anything that is, you know, to do with 2021. Okay, so when it comes to the end of the year, if you want to mark them all out of use because you finished with them, you can simply click them all out of use here and update accounts, and they'll all go into the archive. Okay, means you can still report on them at a future date, but they're not from your usual view and disturbing what you're doing if you've moved on to, say, for example, the following year. Okay, I'll just refresh that page. Get rid of those. You can add any new accounts by just clicking in create new account at the bottom. So if you've got a new visit or trip going on, you can add that in, account code, account name. So Edinburgh Castle 2021, say. Whoop, one, and then you type in Edinburgh Castle. I'll just change that to 21. The opening balances, well, they're set when we start, so very unusual to have an opening balance for an account code unless you've got a corresponding new balance at a new bank, for example. The budget might be an expected expenditure on the account, and the unit cost might be the £150 to go on the overnight visit. And that's so you can use the reports who's not paid. Now, whilst you might do this in WisePay, for example, you can do it in Tali as well. An example might be if I have popped in the Cadbury World trip, say, and we know it's year 5 that's going on it, and if I press search, it'll tell me who's left to pay for that visit. Okay, so we've got 3 children there. But if I show paid balances and search again, it'll show me who has paid and who's yet left to pay. Of course, you can print it out and export it at the bottom, share it with somebody else. Okay. So administration, manage names. This is where we hold the details of all your little darlings. I've just expanded that out a little bit. You can click into any of the names they import from Sims if you're using Sims, or any other MIS. I'll just click into one of the names. And what we've got here is the breakdown of the name, the UPN, if you need to view that, of course, and the name and the address. And this is so if you want to use the government notify system, whereby you can send text messages and text messages, emails, or even posted letters out from the government site notify.gov.uk. You can integrate that with Tali, because using the information that we hold in Tali, you can automatically send SMSs straight from Tali or emails, or get them to post you a letter for you for the price of a stamp. Okay. So administration managed names, generally the names come in as a bulk import, so it's very easy to manage your names. When they leave school, we just ask you you archive them. So if it's year 7 that's leaving, you just filter for year 7, and then you just mark them out of use, like I showed you before, out of use, and update names. You wouldn't generally be creating any new names, so that's new names of pupils or staff, because we would upload those, but maybe creating a new organisation. So, something like WisePay, limited, if it is limited, I'm not sure. Take that off and press save. Okay, so if I'm looking for WisePay now, it'll pop up for me. So all your names, whether they're names of organisations or names of pupils or staff, they all sit within the names in administration managed names. You can see the audit of that in updated names. Okay. Connie, are you still with me?
Yes, I am.
Okay, lovely. Right. Okay. So moving on then from administration, that's sort of the nitty gritty of setting it up. And when we do the training, we go through all that again. So nothing really to remember at this point. But I'm going to take you to transactions now. And obviously, most of the time, your money will come in through WisePay. So if I go to reports, for example, and search transactions, and maybe look, let's use Cadbury's World again. So if I go down to Cadbury's World and press search, you'll see that we've collected income of £575 worth of money. If I just filter for e-payments, which is your online payments, and search, we'll see all that money's come in as online payments. And here it is, e-payments all the way through. So if I wanted to just look and see what, say, Lewis had given me, I can go like that. And you can see Lewis there. If I want to take Lewis out and I want to aggregate by name, so I want a more concise report, if I press search, it'll pop up for me there. Okay. And also, if I go to report search account balances, scroll down to Cadbury's World and click in there, you'll see the same type of report, which is quite useful for passing on to somebody else. So if I expand that out a little bit, you can print it out at the bottom so you can see who's paid. No expenditure on this at the moment, so no coach hire booked or anything like that. We'll go through that in a few moments. Okay, so going to transactions and enter income. So obviously the income from WisePay would come directly into Tali. But if you do have any cash or checks that come into school that you need to enter because you need to pay them in at the bank, then that's just done in transactions, enter income, money coming into school. If we choose Cadbury's World as the account pot, and if we just call it trip money, and let's say it's checks, and we've had today £25, and we're looking for year 5 children, and it was Louise, Chloe and Daniel, I think, that haven't paid. So they've given me a check. So down to the bottom, I don't have to put £75 in the amount box. I'm putting £25 in the amount box, and I'm ticking the children they've given me £25. You can have a generic name, so something like 1A pupil, and you can use that and put £75 in and just do it against one name if you want. But this obviously gives you the ability to do a good robust reporting on any of the trips that you're doing. So if I go down to the bottom now and press save income, and then I get the report at the top, I can split the income if I need to maybe divvy it up between 2 siblings, for example. But if I go to reports and search transactions, you'll see those £325 are there. Okay. So, and if I go to reports, search account balances, search account balances, and go down to Cadbury World and click into the hyperlink again, you'll see those £25 are all there. Reports, who's not paid, and if I do what I did earlier, look at Cadbury World, who hasn't paid for something, year 5, search, all paid. But if I show paid balances and search again, because often in school that's what you want to know, can you see everything is 0, everything's paid, and I've £650 collected. When money comes in as income, whether it is cash or cheque, so money comes through school in either method, cash or cheque, Tali knows that you've taken it into school because you've entered it on this page. But what it doesn't know is you've been to the bank with it. So when you're ready to pay that £75 into the bank, we go to bank and cash, pay income to bank, and we pay in the money that we've collected and is in the safe. So I've got those 3 cheques for Cadbury's World, and I've also got a Lake District residential money there. So I'm just going to tick the box there. I'm going to pay them all in. I've got £190 worth of cash sat in my safe. I'm going to pay all that in because I've collected that for something else. And this matches your physical paying in slip. It's a virtual paying in slip. Tali then knows once you've filled this in that you've been to the bank with £600. You can alter the bank account if you've got 2 bank accounts, of course, and your paying in slip number auto generates to the next one once you've filled in the first one. I'm going to the bank this afternoon, so I'm going to pay income to the bank. So now I've gone to transactions, I've entered the income, the money's come into school at some point. I'm going to the bank, so I've got bank and cash, pay income to the bank, and then when I'm ready, when I go to reconcile a bank statement, find my bank account to reconcile, I can see if I scroll down, that £600 is there as a paying in slip ready for me to tick off when I do my July reconciliation. Okay, come back to that in a few moments. So that's enter income, record expenditure, so money's leaving school. Let's flip that and let's say that Cadbury World, and we're going to do coach hire. So we're going to give them a cheque or a direct debit, whichever you prefer, it doesn't matter. We'll use a cheque for now. It's coming out of the current account. We're going to write the cheque today, and it is for £255. Okay. I'm going to look for my coach company because I created them as an organisation, and I'm going to tick the box next to them. So here I'm saying that Dudley's Coaches have been paid cheque number 5526, £255 today, coming out of the current account. It was a cheque, it was for coach hire, and it was for Cadbury's World. Okay, so down to the bottom and save expenditure. Of course, if you've got one cheque for 3 different coaches, you can split the payment at the top. But if I go to reports and search account balances again, just to show you how this all looks now, Cadbury's World, there's my cheque going out. Okay, so income, expenditure, balance to pay for the entry fee. Okay, so that transactions, enter income, record expenditure. You can transfer between accounts. So if you need to move money, most usually at the end of a financial year, so you're sitting down doing your year end and you want to just move some money around from one account to another because you're closing one maybe and you need to do that, you can just move money from one to the other, whatever it is, for the amount, the date, and the notes supporting the reason why, transfer. You can also transfer between names if you need to, so moving money from maybe one sibling to another sibling if that's necessary. You can cancel income or expenditure, so if you make a mistake, you can just tick the box next to it. Down to the bottom, continue. Wrong amount, whatever you want to pop in, cancel transaction. And now when I go reports, search account balances, down to Cadbury's, you'll see it's not there anymore. So I can use that check number again if I need to because it's been cancelled, it's never been written. And reports, if I go to list of cancellations, you'll see there's my Cadbury World cancelled. So I've got a good strong audit trail. Transactions, you can amend income or expenditure if you need to. On the amend income or expenditure screen, you just go in, click the item that you want to amend, and you can do some amends on there. And transactions, import transactions for importing any payments. So reports. Let me check. Connie, can you still hear me?
Yes, I can.
And has anybody got any questions so far? Is there anybody, we've not lost anybody or
We've had
anything that...
Oh, sorry, Becky. We've had one attendee where the firewall keeps on knocking her out, but I've responded to her by email. So fingers crossed, the recording will be successful, and
Lovely.
I can share that, and I can share that with everyone else as well if they want to revisit anything that Becky's sharing with us today.
That's lovely. Okay, so I'll crack on if you haven't got any questions, Connie. Okay, so the reports tab, we've been into quite a few of these. Account summary, it's a fine report, absolutely, but obviously if you're starting mid-year, then the income and the expenditure is only from when you start with Tali. So I would concentrate when you get going in reports, search account balances, which gives you that overall opening balances, transfers in and out, income, expenditure, and closing balance. The search transactions, of course, lets you find anything. If you want to find just those ones that have paid £25, just pop it in and search, and it'll pop up for you. Okay? If I just want to see who's paid £25 e-payment, again, and it'll just pop up for you. Okay? Right, so that's the top half of the reports. List income by transaction number, so you can drill that down at the top. You can choose any of the different items if you want to, drill it down for a report. Also reports list expenditure by transaction number, exactly the same thing. So if I wanted to, let's say, take this one and go like that and list expenditure, I could just print that out and do a nice little remittance slip if I wanted to send that out to somebody. Okay. Reports, list of cancellations, I've shown you that. I've also shown you the who's not paid. General reports for delegated budgets, and the gift aid claims for donation if you want to claim that 25p back in every pound. If you're maybe an academy, you've got that automatic gift aid status, a charitable status, or maybe a PTA that wants to claim some money back for any charitable events that you're doing. That's a really worthwhile thing, because obviously the gift aid within Tali is it's like an automatic connection with HMRC to claim that money back. It just relies on you flagging the account as being gift aidable, and then just literally doing a new claims for donation once you have listed within administration managed names all those parents that have submitted a form to you for their gift aid eligibility. Okay, so the next one is bank and cash. Bank and cash, bank history. So nice and simple to just look. If you just want to look at checks that you've written, search. Any that you've reconciled, search. Nope, none. Let's unreconcile because I've started a new year. There we go. E-payments, search. Date ranges. Lots of things that you can filter for. Bank and cash history, money coming in and out of the system when you've paid it into the bank. Bank and cash list reconcile bank accounts. So if you want to go back and have a look at a reconciliation, so you can click into it. Maybe you need to do a print off for it to be signed off. I'm going to open up a new screen, and I'm hoping you can see that. Please shout, Connie, if you can't, but that should just open up, and you can do a little print off and sign that off.
We can see.
That's lovely. That's lovely. Okay. So I'll press cancel. And come out of there. Okay, so bank and cash, pay income to bank, we've done that. So this is your two-part process. If you do take enter income as cash and checks, then you must remember that Tali doesn't know that you've taken the money out of the safe and been to the bank unless you go to bank and cash, pay income to the bank. And then that paying in slip will then go onto your reconciliation page, which we're coming to in a moment. Draw check for cash. So that's a little different, and not all schools still draw check for cash. There's nothing wrong with it in itself, but we do have a different way of dealing with it. We go into bank and cash and draw check for cash. And this is because when you go to transactions and record expenditure as a check, what you're doing is you're writing a check out and you're maybe posting it to somebody or giving it to somebody, that they're going to pay it into their bank. Whereas when you draw a cheque for cash, you're physically going to the bank, handing over a cheque and bringing cash back to school. So it's never actually left school's hands. So what we do here is we choose the account that the money's coming out of. We want £200 for petty cash. Maybe it's a summer fair float or something like that. And we put a reason in, petty cash or whatever you need to put in, summer fair float or whatever it is, and we draw a cheque. That has two purposes. Bank and cash reconcile a bank statement. You can see straight away that petty cash cheque's gone to be reconciled off. And also, if we go back to the dashboard, you've got cash in hand in there. Okay, cash in hand. So when I go to transactions and record expenditure, and the after school club needs a Morrison's receipt paying because Mrs. Smith's been and giving us, a Morrison's receipt for £10, then I can look for that staff member and I can tick the box and say, I've given Jane Smith £10 in cash today for a Morrison's receipt, and the money's coming coming out of the after school club. So if I go down to the bottom and save expenditure, then when I go back to the dashboard, you'll see that £200 is now 190 because Tali knows that you've physically been into the safe, taken £10 out and given it to Mrs. Smith. Okay. Bank and cash. So that's draw cheque for cash. Reconcile a bank statement is so simple. All you need to do is populate your we help you populate your starting point. So the start date, when you took that balance from your bank statement, and you pop in the end date. So I'm just going to use the 30th of June. And then you'd pop in your closing balance. I've not ticked anything left, so I'm not sure what the closing balance is. So I'll come back to that in a moment. But generally, what you would do is pop that closing balance on from your bank statement. And all you do is you tick what you see. So I'm going down, I've got a Q, I've got a check, I've got a T, which is a transfer. So that's money that WisePay has transferred into my bank account. I'm ticking that off. A paying in slip, a credit, a C for a credit note. And I'm just going through and ticking all the things that I see on my bank statement. Okay, anything that haven't been presented yet, so we'll say that cheque for 550 hasn't been presented yet, I'm just going to leave. I'm just going to carry on until I've ticked everything that is within the date range and is on that bank statement. If I've got anything missing from my reconciliation, from my statement, there's something on there, maybe some bank interest, then I can press leave. I can go back to transactions, enter income and process that bank interest, and then go bank and cash. Reconcile a bank statement. Tali remembers what I've popped on, and all I need to do is just add in my closing balance again. Okay, and when my closing balance at the top here from my bank statement matches my reconcile balance at the bottom, because I've ticked everything, I can click reconcile and I'm done. And then I simply click into the link, down to the bottom, print, and if I need to, print out that page that you can then sign off. Okay. Right, so that's reconciliation. You can transfer between bank accounts, which is used for moving money from the settlement bank account, which is for WisePay, so money that you receive in, the transactions come into like a suspense account. And then when you're paid, the money moves from one account to the other, so you can reconcile it off. Very simple. Bank and cash, cancel amend bank transactions. So if I made a mistake, then that petty cash, maybe it was £250, I can cancel it, I can start again. Or I can amend a paying in slip by clicking into it. Bank and cash, and reconcile a bank statement. So I make a mistake, I can tick the box, view statement and cancel it and start again, not a problem. And list cancel bank transactions, anything that you've cancelled transactions wise. Okay. VAT reports are at the bottom to future-proof your system. Okay, so that's all the tabs, and we've come full circle back to administration really and period end close down. Because we've closed, we've done a reconciliation to the 30th of June. What I'll do now is I'll just put 30th/06/2021 on here, and I'll just confirm it. Will it let me do it? Yes, there we go. So there's very little in this because it's quite a relatively new test site, because we set it going for WisePay. But you can see the money coming in, the income, a little bit less expenditure going out, but it gives you the gist of how it, for year end, you get this report that comes off that tells you your income and expenditure, the balances brought forward at the beginning of the year, the balances you're going to carry forward because maybe something hasn't been reconciled. And there you go, there's that £550 cheque that wasn't reconciled off the bank statement. And that just rolls over to the following year and you tick it off when it appears on your bank statement. And then you get a bit of a sign-off sheet at the bottom and your audit certificate. And then when you're ready, when you've got that audit certification, you can then close down completely. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go to see all reports. I'm not at that stage yet. But you know how I said what you would do? You get a full set of reports that would pop up. So the report is what we've just been in. Okay. Down to the bottom, print, see all reports. And then you just go through bank balance, print, and then you just work through these, printing off each of those pages. You get the gist all the way along, and that's your full set of reports that you'd present to an auditor, along with your maybe your check stubs and your bank statements and your invoices, what you'd normally send through to an auditor. And that's Tali. I hope you enjoyed that. Back to you, Connie.
Thank you very much, Becky. I think perhaps we do have a little bit of time if anybody has any questions that they want to direct to Becky. So, things that perhaps Becky will be better placed to answer. But if you're wanting to obviously leave the demonstration, leave the conversation now and just consider what you've seen, then I'm quite happy to chat with you all. You'll be in slightly smaller groups, but I can chat with you all over the next couple of days. Again, I'm not sure who has microphone capability, but if there is anything, there is that chat box in the bottom right hand side of your screen. And Gemma's been very kindly keeping an eye on that whilst the demonstration is going on. So if there is anything, please pop it there. Oh, we've got one.
Could I ask a question? Connie, it's Sharon from Ash Manor.
Yes, absolutely, Sharon. We've got one as well, I think, in the chat box. But if you carry on and
okay, it's only quite a quick one. I just want to know, with all the trips that we've been refunding over the last year and a half, how straightforward is it to refund online payments?
Okay, so my understanding would be that everything that happens in WisePay would flow through into Tali. So by that very definition, I would say that you do all your refunds in WisePay, and then that refund information would come through to Tali. Is that how you envisage it, Connie?
Yes, so I think it's important to share at this stage that there is a two-phased approach to this, which you entirely have the option whether or not you want to come on phase 1 and phase 2. So phase 1 is where you would have separate access points to WisePay and to Tali, but what would happen is there is a report in WisePay that you would be able to select the cost centres, the payments that you want to import into Tali. Phase 2 would be when there is a full automation between ourselves and Tali, and I believe that that's going to be a sort of single sign-on entry point. So I think there'll be a connection between the two systems where any income would automatically at that point populate in Tali. So just to kind of help give a little bit of context and background. So I think initially within phase 1, yes, that would be included within the import, but you would have to manually import that into Tali. If you waited for phase 2, that would automatically occur.
Okay, all right, lovely, thank you.
Okay, and I'm just going to check because we did get a question in the box, didn't we? Hi Sheila, do you think it would be best for us to start using Tali at the start? When is your so I guess, Becky, what's your suggestion here? So, there may be some organisations that have a similar end of year, but, we've come across those who have end of year at the 31st of July, 31st of August, some are at the end of the year, some are in January. So is there a better time to do this in relation to the implementation that Tali's going to have to do with the schools?
Okay, so it sort of drops into several like little boxes, I suppose. The most part, from my experience, most schools seem to close on the 31st of March or the 31st of August. So sometimes they do their budget accounts to the 31st of March, but their school fund runs to the 31st of August, or a combination of the two. Obviously, when you're coming back into school in September, the last thing you probably want to do is learn how to use new software because you'll be busy doing other things. But that doesn't mean that retrospectively you can't, when you're ready, maybe, I don't know, mid-September, early October, sit down, do your year end to the 31st of August, and then give us the opening balances for the 1st of September, which we use to populate Tali with. Same applies with March, of course. However, we're perfectly able to bring you online at any point throughout the year, because as I showed you earlier, it's all about the opening balances. It's about you drawing a line under a bank statement, giving us the balance at the bank, and then the breakdown of the accounts from that balance. So the data collection sheet that we have, it's a sort of takes you through it step by step. So it's really hard to get it wrong. And I think it's probably when you're most comfortable making the switch. We have no problem at what point of the year we do it. We've done them on all different. I've just done a school this last week that are 5 years behind. I mean, it really makes no odds to us. As long as we can retrospectively import the transactions, which of course we'll be able to do, then I think it's entirely up to yourselves when you want to make the move.
I'm just responding to the box. I'm replying to Andrea, but Fiona has a question which is about gift aid pulling through direct from Sims. Is that something you can answer, Becky?
Yes, so gift aid you can flag in administration, manage accounts. So if I go down, if I find a donation account and come here, and you can flag it as a donation account. Okay, so we can save that. And then when you're in administration managed names, if your parents have given the authority to claim gift aid, then all you need to do is in the name is you mark them as a gift aid donor and save. And then you might have to do a little bit of fiddling around with the contact details, because it might not be exactly, because there's a direct link with HMRC, it has to be perfect. So there might be a few that you just need to maybe, take a space out or something like that just to make it right. But basically you save it, and then using the reports, new claims for donation, you just put your period in, preview donations, and then submit it. We have, I was going to say, we're on the support pages here. I'm hoping you can still see this. If we just put gift aid in, there's a whole raft of information. How does gift aid work? Do you gift aid claims, eligibility? It's like a step-by-step guide.
Thank you, Becky. I've just got one more question that I'm answering for Andrea. So it's something that I'll answer verbally, but it's something that we're already putting into place. So in regard to phase 1, the exporting of data and importing, that would be no different from a WisePace perspective of you exporting transaction reports to then possibly import into CSVs, into finance systems. So that side of things, we do need to obviously ensure that everything is as it should be between ourselves, Pebble, and obviously the school. But when it comes to phase 2, so phase 2 is where information data is auto being shared. It's more of an automation, and that will be something that will be included within contractual agreements that you'll be able to sign off on, if that's okay. I think we've got somebody else joining. Hi Lynn. Andrea, does that help? So it is something we're aware of, and it's something that we're dealing with at the moment alongside everything else. Is that okay? Yeah, brilliant, excellent. I think we had Lynn just joining. Lynn, just to make you aware, we have finished the demonstration now. but I'm hoping that we have been able to record this session. So what I can do is I can certainly share that link with yourself and Anne as well, so you can certainly look through the demonstration. Is there any other questions for Becky at the moment, or is everyone reasonably comfortable with what you've seen today? What timings? Okay, Laura, so I think there's that two-phased approach. So phase one, we're hoping to get going with that within the next couple of weeks. We already have some schools that are wanting to kind of be the ones that are getting moved across. Others have already decided that they're wanting to come on board in phase two, which is fine, but phase two will be the end of the year. So I think it's something that internally between yourself and colleagues, you need to discuss what's going to work best for your school. Yes, sorry, Jack, I hope that's okay to call you that. That's yes, so what I think Becky said before, and correct me if I'm wrong, Becky, but we can backdate. So if you do your year end at the, you know, for the 31st of August, perhaps the 2nd or 3rd week of September, Tali is able to backdate till the 1st of September those opening balances and transactions. Is that correct, Becky?
Yes, everything, no matter when you start, it has to be retrospective. You know, if you're waiting for a bank statement to come in, for example, you know, you might wait 3 weeks for that. You know, so everything is retrospective, a little bit more, or a little bit less, depending on each school. So we're perfectly used to that.
Okay, wonderful, good. Anything else for anyone else? I will sort of take the silence as that's thumbs up AOK for me. And I appreciate this time of year. We have lots going on before the end of term. So if everyone's happy to, I will end the demonstration here. Thank you so much for everybody today who's joined. And for those who have had the meeting invites, I look forward to speaking to you over the next couple of days. Okay, thank you so much, Becky. Thank you, Gemma, as well.
You're very welcome.
All right, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.